Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Give Voice to Teams. So we're going to be discussing how to grow your business with a single key solution for your calling and your productivity needs. My name is Jason Nadeau. I'm the product manager for Sherweb's Voice Solutions. I am joined today by Cam Smith, Senior Product Marketing Manager, direct from Microsoft, and James Welburn, our Technical Solutions Advisor, our VoIP expert here at Sherweb. We're going to be going through a few different topics. Basically, why is UC trending right now? We're going to discuss with Cam about Teams and all the awesome things that it could do for you. We're going to take a little quick deep dive within our UCaaS solution, how to position it properly with James, who is so great at that, and some of the partnership benefits of working with Sherweb. So I'm going to pass it over to Cam Smith, who's going to talk to us about why UC is trending right now.
Great, thanks, Jason. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm Cam. I am the Teamwork Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft. So I take care of thinking about how people are using our products that are the ones in which the ways people work together. And that is really why unified communications is trending, is we're seeing changes in the workplace and the way in which people are collaborating, the way they're communicating, the way they're interacting with one another. And this is across not just chat, but it's across voice. It's across the phone that's sitting on your desk, all the way to if somebody calls you from work, what rings on your cell phone. There is a myriad of ways in which different people are communicating in different ways. There's a few statistics we have that kind of help support the reason why there's such a heightened interest in unified communications trending through enterprise level customers out there and small to medium sized businesses within Canada. Some of them are that there's 5 different generations in the workforce that are now all working together, and they all have different ways in which they value communication. Some is that there's way more teams than there used to be before, and those folks have to work together as well. And so the workplace is changing, and we're all sort of changing with it as we're learning how to better communicate, how to work from home, how to stay home if your kid is sick and still get work done, or if the weather is bad, which it always is around this time of year in Canada, to be able to work from home there too, to be able to work from any office or any location. And also, very importantly, when you can't be there in person with someone, how to still build trust and a connection when you have to have an ongoing working relationship with them. There are multiple different ways in which you do this, whether it is chat, whether it's being creative through Teams and using GIFs, whether it is a video conference, or whether it is voice. And so all of these things together sort of create what we think is a new way in which people are going to be working now and in the future. We see 45% use of more social tools at work, and that's not necessarily somebody not working and hanging out on Facebook or LinkedIn. It's actually the evolution of communication between how different people interact with each other. Sometimes words are not enough, or sometimes there's language barriers, and a GIF or a fun emoticon can be a universal language in how people are communicating sometimes. We see 4 times as many devices. I have in front of me 5 devices right now that I am using. I've got my Apple Watch, I've got my AirPods, I've got my iPhone, I've got my Surface laptop, and I think I have like 5 other ones in the drawer right now. So there's just so many different ways in which people are connected too. And when we're talking about unified communication, that means a couple of different things. One, it means, what's your work-life harmony like as an individual or as a leader or as a company? How does that work? How are people choosing when to be online or offline in the way in which they communicate? There is a huge workforce, as I said, that's learning to work together. We have folks that are growing up and moving into leadership roles. We have folks that are retiring. We have folks that are having second careers. It's very diverse and it's global. And that means that you have to have multiple different ways in which people communicate. And when we say 72% of workers are going to be working remotely by 2020, it's 2020. And we are seeing that trend. And this is a global one. And it's, why do you need to hire somebody to come into an office if they're doing tech support over the phone? Why can't they have a home office? How are people being productive when they are a knowledge worker? There's someone that is using their mind to make their money and work for a company. And so we're seeing that sort of trend where the opportunity or the ability to be able to work remotely, if you are able to be productive and get stuff done, is increasing more and more on a global scale. And then we just have more people working together, right? Like you might have had in the past an HR department, and you might have had a sales department, and you might have had a marketing department, but now you have a marketing department that's focused on financial services, and you have a sales department that's focused only on public sector. And these are just two examples, but there are multiple different teams out there that are starting to focus in different ways. And then finally, 80% of people's time is spent collaborating, and whether that's gossiping beside the water cooler, or that is chatting with somebody over Teams, or that is sitting in a meeting with them, or that is writing email. The majority of what we're doing is learning from, leaning on one another, and interacting with each other in order to find the most productive way to meet the goals of us as an individual and excel the goals of the company for which we work for or own. And these are a lot of the reasons why we see unified communications really, really trending out there right now. Jason, next slide. Sorry,
You
I
got
tried.
it.
So why teams, right? We're seeing this trend globally. We're seeing people interested in various different ways of communicating. We're seeing different generations that want different options in how they communicate. We're seeing the need for universal languages that go beyond text. Well, Teams is the fastest growing application that Microsoft has ever launched. And so we think that the need that we're trying to fill with this platform is the right one. And we think Teams is the right product to go and do that. So 2 years of growth, more than 500,000 organizations using it, more than 91 Fortune 100 companies using Teams. It's in 181 markets and 44 different languages and growing. And then 150 organizations have 10,000 or more active users. We actually globally now, I believe the last statistic is have over 20 million monthly active users on Teams. And so
Wow.
that's not to be a brag. It's meant to say that we think that there's a need for a unified platform that allows people to communicate in ways that they hadn't before while remaining productive, while remaining secure, which is essentially important in today's environments, and while allowing a company to accelerate and achieve more over time. And we really think Teams can help do that. So let's jump into unified communications specifically. If you're joining the webinar, again, thank you for taking the time. It's greatly appreciated. You may know some of this, so I apologize if it's repetitive at all, but what is unified communications? And you think it's self-explanatory, but once you get into it, it can actually be really, really complex. And so the self-explanatory part is, how are people interacting? Are they chatting with each other? Are they calling each other? Are they messaging each other? Is there a group chat? Is there a team that somebody is a part of in a virtual environment? How are people meeting? And what's the experience there? Is somebody remotely staying at home and they don't feel a part of the group? So all of these things together really just make up how are people communicating in what way, and unifying it across a single platform with multiple different types of hardware and software is what ultimately makes up the ecosystem that can allow people and companies to be more productive and more effective in their meetings, more effective in their files and their sharing and their collaboration tools, more effective in staying secure with the amount of data that's out there right now in an environment where you can freely collaborate, but also not worry. And as we think about the evolution of unified communications, it's not just your laptop or your Surface, if you like those, or the phone on your desk or your cell phone that's company provided or that you bought yourself. It's the ability to have all of these devices interconnected together while maintaining the evolution of your work-life balance, but really allowing you to work on your terms and the ways in which will make your company the most successful. And so this unified communication platform, which I find a buzzword at certain times, has a ton of truth to it in that it's evolving the way in which we work. And I'm excited for Sherweb to take you today through their offering from Unified Communications as a Service. So I've talked a lot about why Teams, and I've talked a lot about Teams being the hub for teamwork. And when we were talking about this webinar, we were thinking, okay, should we throw up a demo of Teams and should we show people? There's a ton of ways to get started. Bing or Google, whichever you prefer, Microsoft Teams, and you can try out Teams for free. If you've purchased Teams and you're thinking about using it, there's great material out there. Sherweb is a great partner to help on that acceleration front. But ultimately, this is really what it is. And I wanted to kind of summarize quickly so we can kind of jump into what Sherweb is talking about today, which is the support that can be provided if you're thinking about Teams being that unified platform on the way in which you want to communicate as a business. So You can chat with people, you can meet with them on video, you can have phone calls, whether it's over VoIP or whether it is adding a calling plan and having a phone number. You can collaborate easily in a secure environment, so you can have real-time authoring on a PowerPoint documentation or Word that's sitting within the Teams window. And you can have that secure on SharePoint or OneDrive, whichever one you want to call it, and whichever way you have it set up. You can customize and extend it as well. So you can automate processes. Say if you get an email and it's important and it's an invoice from a customer, you can have that automatically come into a chat on your Teams client. There's 1,000 other ways, by the way, which we don't have nearly enough time to talk about, on the ways you can customize and extend Microsoft Teams with existing third-party applications, independent software vendor solutions, as well as the automation processes that we have through our product portfolio. And I've said this a couple of times, but I think it's incredibly important, the security behind it. So enterprise level security, compliance, and manageability for everyone across the board. We say the word enterprise, but regardless of what size you are, there is no difference in the need to be secure and how your customers' data, your company confidential data, your employees' information is being protected. And that's something that Teams does very, very well. And there are additional features that can be purchased that we have available that can take things to the next level. But that enterprise grade security is built in across the board if you're using Microsoft Teams as the way in which you're storing files. So you're looking at the interface. I think go and try it out if you haven't already. Hopefully you have, and I hope you really love it. But we're going to dive into now what I think are some really, really good offerings that Sherweb has around this whole ecosystem.
Super. Cam, thank you so much. I really couldn't have said it better myself. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that Sherweb has to offer here. So our own version of what we're calling our UCaaS, our Unified Communication as a Service, is very much the bundling of different communications channel with Teams at the center of it all. We love Microsoft, we love their products, and we work very closely with them. So it seems like it's definitely the right way to go. And I think we picked the right software, considering it's Microsoft's biggest installed program in the last 2 years. I think that says a lot. So essentially, UC is bundling your different communications channels. So that could be your chat, your video, your file sharing, everything into one easy to get to place. And there's a lot to say about having everything within a single environment. A lot of companies still have different tools for each and every one of those with different logins. It's a lot to manage. And it's a lot to learn when you're starting at a new place. So we're really mixing the best of both worlds here, using Microsoft Teams and our enterprise grade voice routing platform in the back end. So with Teams, as Cam just explained, you get all the familiar tools that the end users are used to. And I think that is key because they're tools that people use every day already, and now it will also become, with our UC, their phone system. And it's not just a basic phone system of you can make a call, you could receive a call, but it really comes with everything that you're used to from your traditional phone system. So call queuing, hunt groups, obviously the caller ID names. We take it a step further with our UCaaS though. When you use our UCaaS, essentially we have full control over the soft switch that's in the back end. That means we're able to customize things on an individual basis for our customers, things that that's not the norm, therefore wouldn't become something that you'd see in every interface, but we're able to build customized solutions, customized environments for our tenants. And there's a lot you need to know when you're taking care of a phone system. And especially if you're coming from the IT world, where you haven't been working with phone systems for 20 some odd years, like a lot of the team here at Sherweb has. It's more than just doing the network assessment and making sure they have a good network. You got to understand what people expect from their physical phones, as well as from their soft phone on Teams and whatnot. So our solution is flexible, scalable. You can add users or move users absolutely anytime. We're in a highly redundant environment, meaning that there's a lot of links in a chain for a VoIP call. Many of those links can go completely down and our solution will keep on running. In theory, even if Teams were to go down, which is a rare thing, you know, our solution would still be able to make and receive your phone calls and we could temporarily bypass it. We have a dedicated onboarding team. Essentially, when someone buys our UC from us, so the Teams phone system with direct routing, you get a project manager. So they're going to go through the requirements of that company, your end customer, get their specific requirements, give best practices, because a lot of the time what an end customer or a user will originally request for, since they don't do this every day, might not be the best thing for their own customer. So we will go and give best practices and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't make that IVR system so complicated with so many submenus. Generally, the people trying to call you, they'd like to speak to a human being. Let's try and make it as simple for them. Little things like that that really go a long way. So our 24/7, 365 support on top of it all. So you have access to do everything within your self-care portals and within the Office Admin Center. But if you need help, we're here 24/7. You could call on Christmas Day to have your IVR redone, and we'll do it for you, actually. We have dedicated voice experts, so that's people like me, people like James. We've been in the telecom industry for decades. We can provide up to 40% margins for our resellers. So that goes a really long way because, you know, there's work that's involved in setting up a phone system, but at least you have the margins that go along with it. We support all kinds of hardware. So with our UC, with direct routing, you can use any SIP-enabled device, anything. We will help you get it set up. We have our own devices that we can auto provision, so they're plug and play, they get shipped out, you plug them in, they're up and running, that's it, that's all. But if you've got an existing on-prem system, that's okay. We could take the phones they already have and link it to the Microsoft ecosphere, and people love it. You can have some users using Teams, other people using their old Grandstream or Polycom phones, and they will all seamlessly talk together.
And that's a really great point. If I'll just jump in for a second there, that's something that we see so often. So let's say in the cafeteria, we see that quite often in a warehouse setting as well, where maybe at the loading dock, they don't necessarily need a Teams or video conferencing device, but really having a more basic phone, as Jason mentioned, keeping what was, and then pairing it and merging it with all that is Microsoft Teams. It really presents a great value, especially on the hardware purchasing part of things.
Yeah, thanks, James. That's a great point. And actually, since you're touching on it, I didn't think of it, but we go further, right? Paging adapters. Like people have warehouses and they have paging systems there. We can interface Teams with the old paging system as well. So really, it's a never-ending list of features and routing scenarios that we're able to build with our UC just because of that extreme level of control that we have on an entire call flow. So before we go on to the next section, which is why you should offer UCaaS and how to position it, which will be discussed by James, I've got a couple of poll questions for the people attending today. So first question that I would like all of you to answer, pretty please. Have you been asked for a voice solution in the last 6 months? So basically, as a partner, have any of your customers already proactively come up to you and basically said, hey, can you help me with my phone system? Or can you take over my phone system? Or can you sell me a brand new phone system? So how many of you people proactively came to you and are asking for this already? So that's awesome. The vast majority of everybody basically is answering yes. So it's nice to hear. It's in line with what we're expecting. IT guys are basically now the people taking over the phone systems of businesses. People like me that started doing old Nortel systems and running cable back in the day. Unfortunately, for people like me that didn't move into the IT space, they're losing some of that space now. It's growing over to the space of IT professionals, MSPs, and whatnot. So we could see that just by the results. And question number 2. Question number 2. Are you interested in reselling a UCaaS solution? So almost all of you responded earlier that people are actively asking you for it. Now the big question is this something that you actually do want to offer? Because there is, well, it's a new industry. It's a telecom industry. So is this something that you're into? And that is almost every single person that is. So that's great, super. Thank you very much for taking the time to answer the polls. And I'm gonna pass it off to James now. James, can you tell us about why we should be offering UCaaS and how to position it? I'm gonna be trying to share my screen with you, so I'm passing it over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and those are really great questions, right? And I think, like Jason mentioned, it's if you're an MSP, you have a certain offering that you're doing, and maybe telecom isn't something that you had considered, or maybe you didn't have the resources internally. Well, Sherweb is definitely here to support you. So as Jason mentioned, he and myself are more than available, along with the rest of our account managers and the rest of our sales team and marketing team here as well. So we definitely have a ton of resources to get you going and be that expert that you could really need. So here I will just share my screen. Let's make sure it's the right one. Just want to see which screen I'm sharing here. Screen, and it'll be screen 2. There we go. Excellent. All right, we see the slide there.
We're good to go. Thanks, James.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. So we'll dive right in. So definitely Cam and Jason touch on a ton of the functionalities are included in Microsoft Teams and definitely as part of our UCaaS offering. So just like, I guess, just a side note for a quick second there. So Sherweb here, we're 700, very, very close, 800 employees strong. And we use Teams internally for everything that we do. So Jason and I, for example, are very much teammates who work together daily, as Jason gets to put up with me regularly here. But we do get to video chat. We chat every single day. Much like our marketing resource, Sona, who helped coordinate all of this. So thank you so much, Sona. But we get to collaborate on documents together and really make sure that we have the best product, we have the best offering for our partners, for our customers alike. And Teams has been an essential part of that. As you mentioned, the remote workforce is something that's so apparent, right? So at Sherweb here, we encourage it very strongly. Myself, I do probably 3 days at home, let's say as a minimum in a week. So I can connect with my colleagues, Jason, who's 2 hours away. Sona is about an hour away from where I reside. So getting to collaborate with people like that, and even Cam, as we started to put all this together, we got to connect, and distance was of no factor. As I mentioned, right, I get to see them, I could see their face, I gauge their engagement. We can read off each other, so it really goes so much further than a simple email, and it really creates a great environment, a great way to really work with people, whether it be internally, sort of where I started off here, but even to the point of doing presentations for customers, which is something that we'll quite often do. So we could even share it externally to those not a part of the Teams environment currently. We know it's just a question of when, and they'll be right with us. But for the time being, even if you're not on Teams, it's a great way to collaborate on documents and to do some screen sharing, video conferencing with very little equipment needed. Like, for example, I'm on my laptop right now. No fancy video conferencing equipment needed. Just my out-of-the-box laptop here, and here we are. And I get to chat with all of you. So just showing to what length technology has evolved, and what a really a wonderful time we have where we get to be here. and then just great signs for the future, really. Yeah, so just a couple of things when it comes to our UCaaS. So definitely the upselling. So we do have our Cloud PBX solution. It's our flagship telecom solution, as Jason mentioned, with our enterprise grade switch, all the bells and whistles. Some things that we didn't notice that were to be improved, definitely the video conferencing was something that we needed to leverage, as that's what the market dictated. And definitely having a premier partner like Microsoft alongside us was just a no-brainer, right? So we have the most popular and the fastest growing communication platform in the world, along with a carrier grade and amazing telephony product that Jason and the team put together. Again, it was really a no-brainer for us to merge the two and come up with really one of the better products in the market today. So little things, again, coming from the MSP environment, maybe you're there on a purely office play or productivity, maybe just from a security standpoint, but tapping into the other needs of your customers. So as Jason mentioned, there we're seeing a lot of telcos stepping into the MSP space. They're starting to offer office and other productivity tools. So to counteract that, we suggest and work with all of our MSP partners for them to bridge out into the telco space. The reason being is if you don't evolve, if you don't get the rest of that business, somebody else is going to come in and one solution at a time. It could pose somewhat of a risk to you. So definitely being aware of your environment, being aware of the market is definitely things that we'll work with you, we'll coach you, and we'll do our very best to share all that we've learned from partners like yourselves to ensure that your practice and your business continue to thrive alongside with us, right? So we're an entirely partner first organization. We offer tons of services. Again, I'll getting ahead of myself here. There's so much excitement in this for me, but definitely I'll touch on some of the key value adds that we're able to offer to you as well. So 5 key things. Again, as Jason mentioned, we're going to repeat a little bit here. There's just tons of value that we can't say it enough. But offering that customer experience, right? Like giving your end users the ability to communicate with who they need when they need to communicate with them. So by having a properly designed IVR, for example, or an auto attendant, could be something that we might overlook. It's, well, you just press 1 for this, but knowing if there's a more efficient way or a more streamlined way to get there, we'll definitely Sherweb and the team are here to support you. Again, whether it be through the UCaaS as being our product or the Microsoft Teams environment. Again, we're such a proud Microsoft partner that it's really something we're lucky that we get to accompany you with. Some other great things, so definitely looking to manage those costs. Obviously, it's probably one of the first things we hear in most of our customer interactions. So Microsoft has done a great job of putting together quite a package for you. And then definitely, again, Sherweb, we're looking to build off of and with Microsoft's offering. The security and reliability, again, so I think Cam and Jason touched on these respectively. So security nowadays is something that, we all read the reports, all the ransomware and all the different things that can happen. So definitely having a secure environment to host your information and to communicate through is something that's so imperative. Being able to do that reliably, right? So being able to do that every time, having different failover strategies. What if the power goes out? These are all things that it's a fact of life. It's something that's going to come for us all eventually. So it's just a question of how can we mitigate that? Oh, well, great question, Jason. Yeah, so if the power goes out, so there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. So being in a hosted solution, the equipment isn't local to your site. So you might have seen your traditional telephony. If your power goes out, your phones are black, they don't turn on. There's no power being put through to them. So in that situation, in the old telephony on the POT systems, it's a loss of communication totally for your company. Now that we're in a hosted solution, it's kept in our data centers, very secure with the redundant power supplies, to say the least. The solution itself is still up and running. So for your customers, it's completely transparent. And then for your users, for your reps, your sales reps, whether it be in HR even, they can all be reached using a mobile application, something like the Teams app on your mobile device. You can pop over to a cafe and jump onto a Wi-Fi there. So there's tons of different ways to receive these calls without it being local. So we're no longer bound by sort of local phenomena, but really the accessibility of your communications is now everywhere you are.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to go down, I find, when your phone system's in the cloud, right? You could have your building, God forbid, knock on wood, catch on fire. And at the end of the day, the PBX is still up and running. It's still answering calls. Worst case scenario, you have your IVR picking up the calls. People are dialing an extension number, leaving a message for the person who's, moving into their backup office. And they're going to go get it within their email as an attachment with a transcription, or like you say, just load up Teams on the mobile network at the cafe, anywhere. It's next to impossible. It's impossible to start missing phone calls now if you don't want to miss them.
Even on weekends when sometimes we may try, work always follows. Yeah, and that's absolutely it, right? For those of us who get to love what we do, taking calls in the weekends when I'm out on the hill with my daughter there, it could be anything. But business continues whenever, on weekends I have a little discretion, but business is always there, and I'm always connected to my team. So to the gentleman we see on screen here especially. So yeah, it's a really great advantage, even when you're going on trips, right? So I was in Boston a couple weeks ago, and it was business as usual. I'm in a hotel, I'm far from home, but I was able to receive calls. My colleagues transferred me calls as if it was just another day. They have no clue where I was physically, but I was there to take care of our partners, and that's really what's the most important here.
Super.
Perfect. Yeah, just get through here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so right, so there we talked about the best practices, how Sherweb can support you. Again, having that in-house expertise to guide you, and really to do all the heavy lifting for you. So in terms of building out the IVRs, in terms of building the call flow, or even guiding you through what a great call flow would look like, are all just parts of our service. So that's for us. Our claim to fame is really having key partners like yourselves. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. But no, what's really important is how do we get you to monetize this great solution, right? So we have everything on the back end. We have the solution itself. Thanks so much to Microsoft. We have our reliability redundancy factor with our white glove support. Again, thanks so much to Jason and the team. But now you as the partner, as the MSP stepping into this new space, where can you monetize? And this is something that there's so many parts here that often get overlooked. But definitely there's a ton of room for you here. So in terms of doing the network assessment, so we do have a network testing tool that we can offer to help identify if there's any trouble on the network or in regards to the ISP, any packet loss. These are all things we're able to help identify prior to the solution being put out. So I always love the 5 Ps there. So prior planning prevents poor performance. So just knowing what you're getting into, knowing your problems preemptively, addressing them. So when we go live, there's no surprises. It's a very smooth transition.
Yeah, so I love this slide, and that add value to your offer. Not only is it just good for the partners to be able to, you don't just take something existing and pass it on. You make it your own and something that your own customers need. But it's necessary. It's a necessary value add that you have to do. It's important to verify that their network is up and running if you want them to have good voice quality and not be getting calls about voice quality. That network assessment is absolutely imperative. The enablement and the training, it's worth it to spend that extra time at the beginning to gather the proper information about, let's say, how their phone system's working now, what are the pain points, what would they like extra to go on top of it.
And that's all stuff that Jason and myself, again, so I'm privileged to enjoy a sales or a partner facing role, so I'll get to work with all of you very closely. If anyone here is already working with us on a UCaaS or Cloud PBX or even a SIP trunking front, chances are we've spoken at some point. So again, thank you so much. But really we'll come in and we'll help you do that, right? So we put on our partner name here hat, and we'll jump in. I can be your back end, your tech, whatever title you decide to give me that day. There, I've been called a bunch of things, most of it quite positive. But we're able to come here and help and support and make sure that we ask the right questions, make sure that we address their concerns. So Jason mentioned their current pain points, even going as far as to say, hey, what does your solution look like in 3 years? If you had to paint me a dream picture of your communication solution, what would it look like? And definitely Microsoft, obviously, always in the forefront. Chances are we have those tools collectively, whether if it's super advanced features and you don't see management of a PBX as part of a day-to-day for your organization, well, that's great. Offload it to Sherweb here, and we'd be more than happy to take care of that for you. So really understanding the needs of someone, of our customers or our partners, it's the key to success, really, right? It's not us just guessing and saying, here's the one way to do things and everybody gets package A, but really every single org will be a little bit different. Jason and I joke about this constantly, where it's, collectively, I'm sure we're in the thousands in terms of deployments of being boots on the ground prior to joining the team here. I've never once myself put in 2 systems the same. Like it could be a chain, and there's no 2 branches that are identical. So
every company has their own unique needs. You could kind of group into like a high level sort of call flow, but they're still always, they each have at least one thing that makes them unique compared to the guy before and before. Yeah.
Excellent. So that's definitely part of the pride here at Sherweb, is really supporting you. Again, you don't have to have a ton of experience. As Jason and myself, we're the 2 you see now, but there's a whole team behind us as well. So between all of us, there's very few solutions we haven't seen, we haven't built. Again, like Jason mentioned, for some more unconventional applications, that's like a care worker who takes on-call texts from maybe someone in their demographic. These are things that we can help customize and build out some of these solutions for you. So again,
That's
looking
awesome.
to work very closely with you. Yeah, and that was just one, right, Jason?
So do you want to tell us why partner with Sherweb?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so I think I'm glazing over it here, but definitely all the support and all the project support that we can offer would be sort of the key things. Who is Sherweb? You say I probably could have led with this, but I'll just say that Sherweb is a CSP from Microsoft, so one of their larger partners in North America. We have the privilege of being in business for 20 years, steadily growing. The privilege, again, to serve over 6,000 partners. These are MSP partners, the telco partners. Some do deployments, some do implementations. So it really depends on what you're offering. But chances are we've had some dealings in one shape or form. As I mentioned earlier, we're 700 plus. We're tiptoeing on the verge of 800 here. We have 3 offices currently, moving to a 4th as well in the near future. So steadily growing. Not to be taken lightly, it's not something that Jason and myself grew this ourselves by any means, but working with key partners like yourselves, by building alliances, by building and working and maintaining partnerships, and really fueling your growth is what has allowed us to grow ourselves. So we're very much looking forward to continue on that kind of path right now. Collectively, we also manage to serve 60,000 end user clients or individual organizations. Again, across many product lines, across many fields, but definitely there to support you in your day-to-day. So definitely some of our key partners on there for sort of key strengths that we sort of pride ourselves in would be the cloud products and solutions. So really having some best-in-class solutions there, operating efficiently, as we mentioned, right, by leveraging Teams, not having to do the 2-hour commute into the city every day, allows me to put an extra, an hour 45 minutes back into the business here, as we keep to build our base and grow our company, our customers here. The expertise as well in all fields, right? So I'm privileged to be a member of the pre-sales team here at Sherweb. So pre-sales engineers, we work on varied product lines, but whatever technical knowledge or solution building you could need from any of our partners down at the bottom, definitely we have a resource who is specified in that field, who'd be able to, compare one versus the other, for example, or even highlight some ideas, much on the telecom side, like Jason and myself, that maybe you hadn't gotten to yet. So really just always looking to empower you and to keep you growing with us, as you're really the reason we're able to be here today.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to interject. We're getting a lot of questions coming in. So to the people asking questions, first of all, keep asking them. That's great. And we're almost done with the slides. And in just a few minutes, we will be getting to your questions. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
I was wondering why you were rushing me before, but no, that's great. Yeah, and I definitely want to get to those questions as well. So we'll pick it up a bit there. I'm long-winded. Excuse me. Yeah, perfect. So it's really it, right? So it's your success is our success, is really the mission here at Sherweb. Yeah, so just a couple of things that we're able to do on how we support our partners. So we have VoIP certification as part of our partner toolbox. Once you're a partner, you have access to a great cloud platform to do all the purchasing of any licenses, maintenance as well of some licenses. So all that is available through one unified platform called Cumulus that we developed here in-house. So we have battle cards, we have phone comparison sheets, statement of works, we have compatibility guides, and the material keeps growing. So something we always encourage our partners, give us feedback. You tell us what you need, what's missing, what would make your day easier. And definitely, Jason, myself, and the rest of the Sherweb team will always do everything we can to support you. Again, without you, there's no us. So again, just touching on a couple of more of the tools that we have here, everything from the awareness on sort of the early stages and what is, right through the decision-making process. Again, so we'll have tons of guides. As you come in, you can reach out to your account manager, you can reach out to Jason or myself as well. And we'll definitely walk you through. We can put you in touch with the right resource for your project. Yeah, so really a ton of value in what we're able to offer, and really the reason for our success thus far. Yeah, so in closing here, reach out to us. Again, Jason, myself, if you have a contact here, being an account manager, our customer service team as well is always there to support you. We can give you a walkthrough, we can give you trainings, we can help you in terms of marketing collateral as well as another great resource that's not super common in the industry. So again, just different ways we're able to support you. We like to think we have it all covered. Again, I'm sure there's something that's missing along the way, but definitely let us know. Maybe there's something that's new for you or new to us. So just let us know, and we're really quite quick to adjust and to keep you moving. Like, you've built momentum, so we're really here to support you in every single way we can.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Jason. Question time. Thank you all so much again for the questions. Honestly, no, I love this part of it too. Working with experts like Jason and Cam there, like, I tend to learn something every single day there. So it's a privilege, and I'm very excited to see what came in for us.
Yeah, so we got a fair amount of questions. I definitely will not be able to answer absolutely every single question during today's webinar. We've just got 10-15 minutes left. But we will answer every question. So if we're not answering it here today live, we will be contacting you and answering your questions. And as always, all our Sherweb partners, you have an account manager here. They're your internal voice at Sherweb. You can always reach out to your account manager to organize phone calls with James and I, for anything you absolutely need. They're here for you all the time. So let's get to the questions. That's the fun part. So I'm not going to use names. If you're using a physical desk phone, could it be possible to still use phone extension and speed dial to call users? I guess I'll take this one if you don't mind, but anyone could jump in anytime and add on to what I'm saying. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the really fun part of our UC solution. And we could go even further than that. Let's say you have a physical desk phone with a speed dial for Bob, and Bob is a Teams user. When Bob is using Teams and makes an outside phone call, you're going to know it on your old IP desk phone. It will light up the button. The BLF and the presence actually moves across that. So absolutely, we can do it, and we can do it really well too. Another excellent question that I'm sure a few people have asked. So I'll give it a little bit of a life to it. Am I missing something? Teams can act as a full phone system. Does Sherweb have some additional product outside of Teams or to enhance Teams? So that's an excellent question. It's the question of the day, right? Because Teams and Microsoft has their own phone systems. You can get the IDs, they have ring groups, they have queues. That's great. You can absolutely get that. If you call us for support, we will support you with that, with the Microsoft phone system 100%. Our UCaaS, it's the same idea, except we have, or we own the telephony infrastructure that's behind it. You know, the actual soft switch that companies like your Verizons and Bells of the world, that the hardware that they have, we have our own. So that means that on the fly, you know, with a single phone call, if we need to, we could reprogram the soft switch. We're able to put in a new vendor to be able to get that phone number from that city in the middle of nowhere that almost no one is able to port from. So we're able to go that extra mile, and just because we've got a little extra control. So I'm definitely not saying that one is necessarily better than the other. They're both phone systems. You know, there's a bunch of phone systems in the world, and it's really just that white glove service with our UC that we're able to give, and just that extra control. But they're both excellent solutions. I don't know if Cam or James, you want to add anything to that?
I'll just add.
Yeah, I'll touch on.
Go ahead, James.
No, James, you go first.
I'll just add that there's a lot of different companies out there and a lot of different individuals that are transforming the way they use technology. And yeah, like those solutions exist within the infrastructure of what Teams can offer, but you have to think of how much time somebody will spend and expertise they have in understanding and where they're going to go when they run into a problem, and what Sherweb solution, what other solutions, and what Microsoft solution offers when it comes to that. Because guaranteed, you're going to run into customers that would greatly benefit from unified communications as a service, but may not necessarily right now have the technical expertise or have the, I don't want to say patience, but have the bandwidth to deal with problems when they occur. And so it's important that you make those distinctions between what the right final solution is for a customer that's looking to transform the way in which they communicate.
Thanks, Cam. And that's something I really like the way you said that, and it's in line with one of our missions of, you know, simplifying the cloud, and that's our way of being able to simplify phone systems.
And that user management, I think for me, and just to chime in here as well, is really that's one of the main differentiators. Is obviously we offer both here at Sherweb, and we support them both wholeheartedly. It's sort of like, hey, if you're a little bit more self-serve, a little bit more on the DIY side, this is something that obviously Microsoft's interface is super intuitive, but this is something that if you just don't feel like it, again, if you don't have the bandwidth, this is something we'll gladly take on for you. Maybe it's a little bit more of a custom solution, or something that's maybe, again, very unconventional in terms of regular telephony. We can go ahead and we can build something a little bit more custom, a little bit more tailored for you. So I definitely think there's a value in both. Again, it's part of our job here as the experts to help guide you towards which one is right for your customer. And definitely we take great pride in that.
Yeah, thank you. Well said. So being asked, what about older legacy digital phone systems? Is there any way to integrate? Great question. I guess at this point, we're really, that we might want to basically call your account manager, let's have a phone call, but I know other people are asking this. So we are absolutely able to integrate Teams with other phone systems, even outside of Cloud PBX. But older legacy digital phone systems. Now, for me, I hear digital, I'm thinking the old Nortels and Panasonic. So it's not analog, it's not IP, it's digital. That would only work if you're able to, if that older legacy system is still able to provide the SIP extensions off of that platform. So we can interface with older phone systems, but not all of them. Call your account manager. He's going to get James or I on a call. We'll find out if there's anything to do for that. But at the same time, you know, those older legacy digital systems will be dying. If they still have it, we're getting closer and closer to that date. So maybe just start setting them up to go over to a cloud-based phone system in the near future once it gets too expensive to maintain and fix their older on-prem digital system.
And carrying in line with that, those systems that the dinosaur systems there that are still active, as you mentioned, right? So these things have been on the wall for 40 years. There are tons of dust, but they still run. So these things as well. So a great way that we always go about with our MSPs, and we've seen a lot of success like this, it's really by offering SIP trunks, which is another service that we offer. So it's essentially the connectivity or replacing the phone lines, if you will. With a SIP trunk there, so that way they get a taste of the reliability and the support and everything that Sherweb can offer while maintaining their current system. And then, as Jason mentioned, as they sort of phase out or kick the bucket, otherwise said, we'll have a solution ready to go, and we're really steps away from there.
Super. As a Sherweb partner, I have basically all my customers who want this, hundreds of phones. I have no idea how to deploy it. You're talking to the right people. That's what we're here for. That's what our white glove service is for. So literally, if you've got hundreds of phones right off the bat and you're not doing anything, that's a lot of business that you're kind of leaving on the table right now. So we're finishing our webinar in 5 minutes. I would say in 6 minutes, call your account manager. Let's start talking. There's a lot that we can do to help you. A few people asked just if we're sharing the webinar. So yes, definitely this webinar will be shared. It'll be available. Generally, it takes about a week after the filming and the live event for it to become available for others to listen to or to share. Somebody already has a SIP trunk provider using existing on-prem systems and wants to know if we can integrate with Teams. So again, it depends on the system, but since you've got SIP trunks somewhere, generally that means it's the type of system that we would be able to integrate with Teams with no problem at all. So again, contact your account manager. We can do it. So I have no words to really properly describe how different it is managing someone's phone system when their phone systems becomes Teams. It's our most advanced solution and it's the simplest one. So I think you're going to have a good time when you start migrating your users to also start using Teams, and soon enough they're just going to ditch their existing phones. But don't forget, we are compatible with all sorts of IP phones. I think I'll let Cam answer this one, I guess. What SKUs are included in M365 Business Voice? So basically our new SMB Business Voice, what is that?
What I think, I should share my screen and then I can just pull it up for you. You're able to go get the licensing for what's available on the SMB Voice SKU. But basically what it is a one-stop shop. So it's audio conferencing, it's phone systems. Then you'll want to decide on direct routing or calling plan and go from there. But I'm not going to list off SKUs. I think you can look that up pretty quickly. It's basically the ability to have answering machines, call forwarding, call hold, the ability to call in and have an automated answering machine for you to direct you to another area of the company, the ability to have phone numbers while you're having a meeting or a webinar internally with your team. It is the ability to have voice across your organization. So take a look at the sort of list out. There's a ton of information there. But in essence, what it really includes is the voice capabilities of a business.
Super. And the way I see it, or at least the way I've been explaining it a lot, and it's basically a much simplified version of it, but I see the SMB Business Voice, it's basically the phone system SKU and the audio conferencing SKU put together in one. But before, phone system SKU was only available with the enterprise plans, and now the SMB Business Voice is available with Business Essentials, Business Premium. So it opens up a whole world of opportunity to be selling SMB Business Voice.
Yeah, that's a really, really good distinction, Jason, that I should have actually led off with. This is the same technology, same security level, same functionality that enterprise level customers across the world are using when it comes to our solution. And so it's really exciting because it really gives everyone the ability to have a rich ecosystem and environment in how they're communicating, not just with themselves and employees internally, but with their customers as well.
And I have to ask, because we're being asked live here now, and you must be getting tired of hearing this, but when will SMB Business Voice be available outside of Canada and the UK? Because right now it's only in Canada and the UK, right?
Yes.
I personally get asked that about 5 times a day.
So I don't know that. And if I did, I don't think I'd be allowed to say yet.
Okay.
But this was on purpose. It was done this way on purpose. The intent was to get feedback from our partners, from our customers, in how great the product is working for them in order to launch for the entire world, which is, the long-term intention of this, so that we can bring this to other countries and other customers, all across the planet. So that is definitely going to happen, but I don't know when yet.
Super. Thank you very much, Cam, for that. I know you get it often, but I could say we're in Canada, so we've been able to use it and test it with our partners, and we've had nothing but we've heard nothing but great things about it. So I personally can't wait to be able to offer it to the rest of our partners, because it's going to do well for everyone. So we have other questions, but we're at 3 o'clock. So again, we will be keeping all of the questions. We will be reaching out to to people that we didn't answer the questions to. We will be reaching out and answering the questions. Cam, James, thank you so much for being here, and thank you very much for sharing that information. And all our partners out there that are listening, thank you, especially to you, for being here, taking the time to listen. There's so much to say, and it's impossible to do it in 1 hour. So if you'd like to learn more, reach out to your account manager, ask questions, get us on the call together.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great one.